Hey everyone, this is Steven from Wales, Philippines. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you could stop by. 15 years today, September 1. 15 years I've been here living in the Philippines. And it's been great, I gotta tell you. It has not always been roses. You know, I've had some struggles. There's always, the adapting to the culture and way of life that is in the Philippines. But I've done it without too many complaints. I may have complained a lot in the first couple of years, but after a while, it's just, this is the way that it is. So what's the point of, complaining? And if I want to complain, nobody's going to care anyway. So keep it to yourself. And if I really can't stand it, get the fuck out, That's all I got to do. I mean, nobody's keeping me here. I'm staying here because I want to stay here. It's not like I can't go back to the U.S. I wasn't kicked out of America. I left on my own because I thought I was in love, okay? And I thought I could be happier in a place where I wouldn't have to work. I could live off my retirement and, enjoy the company of a woman I met back in the U.S. Didn't all work out that way. But, since our separation, I've met somebody else, met a few people that I talked about in other videos, but I met someone who I've now been with for 10 years. It's been steady. We're established. She's got her education. She's got her business. It's going into its third year. It's not profitable, but it's losing less money. But she runs it. I stay out of it. This house that we're in is in her name, so that when I go and nobody lives forever, she's got something from me, okay? She may get more from me, but right now she has at least this house and lot that's paid for, and it's in her name. And nobody's going to take that away from her because all the paperwork, documentation is spot on. Made sure of that. So there's the, whole getting set up and getting used to and getting to this point that I want to celebrate. As I said, we did celebrate our 10th year anniversary, I think, a month ago, and now it's 15 years in country. I still don't have a command of the language. I'm able to survive though with a little bit that I do know, and mainly just mind my business, go a lot. Okay, I think the same way that some Filipinos feel unsure about speaking English but they understand it, is the same way I think I respond in Filipino. I understand a lot of words. I just am not comfortable speaking it. I feel like I have marbles in my mouth and my nose starts to bleed and, that kind of thing. But like I said, there's no regrets. And, fortunately, the retirement that I'm getting, which is the pension and Social Security, is enough to sustain a lifestyle that I like. I might be boring because, I'm not, doing videos of exotic places that I've gone to, beachfront property here or, mountain top trips over there or skydiving over there. First of all, I've done a lot of that stuff before I started vlogging. I may get back to it again. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I'm right now just getting used to being here in the province, and that whole the living situation, the conditions, and the day-to-day life is a lot different than being in Metro Manila area. The infrastructure is different. The getting around is different. The, the amenities, if you want to call it, of the things you can do. I won't call it entertainment because I can entertain myself, but there's few places for me to go to here yet, as opposed to being in Metro Manila, where there's a lot of places to kind of go around to, and I'm sure that's the same kind of setup or situations no matter where you go to in the Philippines. If you go to Cebu, if you go to Dumaguete, if you're down in Iloilo or Davao, everything has its ups and downs. It has its I want to call it community of expats, maybe, that they all gather together and they go hang out. I haven't found a community of expats here, where I am, and that's fine. Okay. I tried that when I was in Manila. A lot of the expats that I ran into were grumpy, complained. They weren't the friendliest people to be around. So being here sort of away from all of that is fine. As I said, I'm my own best company. When my girlfriend is here, we keep each other company. Seeing her family on occasion is good enough. Going back to the Metro to see a couple of friends there is enough. Okay, I don't do it often because the distance, I have to travel. I have to get in the car and drive. And if I'm not finished by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, back where I used to live, it's not the traffic that I'm worried about so much, because that traffic will be there up for a couple of hours up to a certain point. But I don't like driving around here after dark. There's no lights on the road. The road is, it's easy to run off the road and wind up in a ditch. No. So I try to always get home before dark. Remember when you were a kid and, Mama said, when I turn those lights on, you better be in the house, Maybe not for you younger guys, but guys my age, they remember that shit, Be home before the lights come on. And, that's why it was, summertime was great because the lights didn't come on until about 8 o'clock. But if the lights came on and you were in the house in 10 minutes, boy, your butt was going to be sore. So, anyway. But that's it. I'm here. I'm living a good lifestyle, as far as I'm concerned. The cost of living, okay. Just to touch on that, to give you an update, I think I might have reported back in one of my earlier videos that the cost of living might have been about $4,000, I think, maybe even $5,000. It's roughly the same. Inflation causes prices to go up, and once the prices go up, they don't come back down. Okay, maybe the gas prices here fluctuate, but food costs go up, they stay up. Okay, I've never seen the price of good steak go down. Okay, it as much as I'd like to have steak, I'm still going to have it. I'll have one steak a month, nice, 2-inch thick steak. And I get 3 of those every 3 months. 3 of those steaks is 25,000. That's a few $100. I forget. I mean, you have to do the conversion. At $50. I don't know. Anyway, it's worth it because the steaks are good. Because I cook them. Yeah, I can eat, the pork and the chicken, the chop suey, and I'll eat some rice. I don't eat a lot of rice. Okay, I can't eat a plate of rice. Okay, I do eat anything that's here, just about. I don't like everything that's made here because it's the way that it's being prepared is not, doesn't taste the same, doesn't appeal to me. I won't say that. I will say that doesn't appeal to me. But I can at least cook my own food. And as long as I can cook my own food, I'm going to buy a steak. I'm going to buy some ribs. I've got my own seasoning that I get from the, Steel City Salt Company, okay, in Pittsburgh. Shout out to them. And I can make my rubs. I can season it the way that I like it. I can cook it. I got rid of the grill, but I have a cast iron pan. That shit works fine, just fine. I have an oven, stove, so I'm not without. And it's the same stove that I had in the last house that I rented. So it's not like I bought anything additional when we moved from the metro area here to the province. But I just brought everything that I owned here that I was going to bring. But the food is up in terms of pricing. So my expenses for food is roughly $500 a month. I would say on average, okay, and I'll average it out to that. The internet's about $50. I think I was paying $75 in a metro, but that was also because I had a bigger house or a second floor, so the signal had to go further out. And if I didn't want a lot of buffering, or interruptions with the streaming, then I had to go at a higher tier. Here I don't. I can be on the second level instead of the first level. And it's enough to carry throughout, what you see in here and behind and to the bedrooms. So that's that. The phone is $10 a month. The water bill is a little bit higher. The electric bill is a little bit lower. Balances out. I don't have any other expenses, except I do have the streaming services that I'm paying for with my American Express card. So of course, that's a bill I got to pay every month. That's manageable. And what else is there? Oh, I've added a scooter, so it has additional gas. So I take little trips with the scooter that I don't necessarily have to take the car out for, even though the car is still there and I have to, get that maintained and, gas that up when I go for back and forth into the big city. But filling up the gas tank in the car is about $30, I think. It's maybe $3 to fill up the scooter, something like that. Medical is, I have no insurance. I have maintenance meds that roughly cost $30, I think, a month, which is for high blood pressure that I gotta take because I have high blood pressure. So high blood pressure meds, the gout medicine, since I like to drink and drink the good stuff. I have to be careful not to get razor blades in my feet. So the gout medication I take to maintain that. So it's easy to say don't overdrink, but every now and then you might drink a little bit too much. And if you don't have those, razor blades. So anybody who has ever had gout will know what I'm talking about. Um, Cholesterol, yes. I like lechon kawale, and this fried pork. I love that. My girlfriend says don't eat that so much. I said, okay, I'll eat some anyway. But I like some of that fried stuff that gets made here. The barbecue, and that's it as far as maintenance meds are concerned. Um, I'll take some zinc. I'll take some, vitamins. I'll take my vitamin C. I'll take some vitamin D, maybe some B, zinc. Those kinds of things. But I don't have to take those things. It's just those other three that I need to. I'm hoping that perhaps, and maybe it's too soon because I've only been in the house here for a year, and I would think that my stress levels have been reduced somewhat because the lifestyle here is much, much slower than what it is back in the metro. Either way, you're talking about $25 a month for all of the meds that I take to maintain. That's a lot cheaper than anything that I could do in the US. So, but again, all these things go into the package of like how much does it cost to live here. So to me, I would say for me in my lifestyle, in the little bit that I do, but the things that I like to do, 50 grand. Okay. It might be closer to 60. Okay. This year, only because of the additional expenses that were incurred that have nothing to do with anything long term. It's like, okay, I got to fix this and I got to fix that, okay, to make the house this way, or add it this, because we added a garage, we added the scooter, we added some window coverings in the back so that when the typhoon hits, the rain is not pouring in through the back screens and not flooding out the kitchen area, but at least there's no standing water sitting there from the water coming through. Little things like that. And I think that if it's 60 this year, it will certainly go back down to 50 next year. Okay, because those things won't have to be added to the everyday expense. So we'll see. So does it sound like a lot of money? Yes and no. Depending on what it is that you want to do and what you can afford to do. Some people will say that that's too much, and will say that 25,000 a year is all I can do. And I'm sure you could live here on 25,000 a year. But what you do and what I do are going to be very different, okay? And you could be just as happy as I am. And I'm not knocking it. So, these cost of living videos are, I won't say useless, because everybody lives their life differently. They have different needs or different wants in terms of how they want to go from day to day. So those things should be taken into consideration whenever you hear somebody talk about the cost of living in the Philippines. It's less than the US. This is true. How much less depends on you and how much you want to spend and what you want to do. So that's it. That's my speak for today. And if you liked what I have to say, then come back again next time. This is Steven once again on Where Else Philippines. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Until then, and it won't be wait until Christmas. But you'll see me again before that. All right? So be well, stay good, don't do anything stupid, and stay frosty. Or, as they say in Pittsburgh, stay salty. Bye.